Hello, everybody in the Jewish Humor Group. This is Adam Kegel, your administrator from the Jewish Humor Group. And tonight we have a very special guest with us. His name is Mark Lawton. And he's a little bit a funny guy. He's inside. He's dressed with winter. Look at this. He's wearing a winter jacket. It must be very cold where you are, Mark. What's the story with the winter jacket? How come you're wearing
it is cold. I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. What's
cold here.
Snowing
Portland,
there?
Oregon.
Must be very cold there.
Not snowing, but it's cold.
Cold
Yeah.
inside too. Inside the house.
This is the outside studio.
Where are you? Downstairs, upstairs? Where are you?
No, it's the outside studio.
You're in an outside studio.
It's the outside studio.
It must be very cold by you. And let me ask you, Mark, are you having a good hair day today? Your hair, is it good?
This is one of the better hair days, yeah.
Yeah? How do you like my hair today, you know?
One of the better hair days.
Today, I took the clip hair, and I clipped the whole thing, and made it nice and smooth. It's good like this because I could never say to people, you know what, today I'm having a bad hair day. It's always the same thing, This is the advantage of being like a no hair, bald, shaved head. But I need to wear, because like you, Oregon, I'm in Quebec, Canada. It's a little bit cold. I need to wear the cap. It keeps my capilla a little bit warm. So let's talk about you a little bit, Mark. Tell us, first of all, where were you born? Where were you born? What part of the country?
I was born in Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo? Didn't they just have a crazy snowstorm?
Buffalo, New York.
They had a crazy snowstorm there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Over 200 centimeters of snow. Typical. It was totally Michigan. Do you get snowstorms like that in Oregon too?
No, never.
No snow in Oregon. You must get snow.
A little bit, but not like that.
No?
A little bit, yeah, but not much.
Here where I live, which is just south of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, we're expecting a snowstorm Friday, Saturday. We're going to get maybe 10 inches. So you were born in Buffalo, and then now you're in Portland, Oregon. Is that right? Portland? Where do you live
Portland.
now? And why did you move to Portland?
In Portland for 20 years.
But why? Why you moved there?
We were living in San Francisco for a while. We were living in San Francisco for about 20 years, and it got a little bit crazy with the .com thing, and so we moved up to Portland, which is a nice West Coast city.
And Portland is just north of California, no? Oregon. Is that just?
Well, no, it's about 7 hours it's about 5 hours from the border.
From the border of Canada. Is Oregon
also from the border of California?
Oh, California. So what's north of Oregon? Is it the state of Washington? And then you got Canada, British Columbia. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So a lot of mountains there, but I heard there was a crazy storm in Northern California in the Appalachian or something. There was 120 centimeters of snow. That's like 10 feet of snow or something. It was crazy, I heard. No? Didn't it happen recently, a couple of days ago?
In Buffalo, they had a big storm, but California, I didn't hear about it.
Northern California, I heard they had a crazy snowstorm. It didn't affect you?
Oh, in the mountains, yeah.
Yeah, in the mountains.
Yeah, Lake Tahoe.
The mountains, the big mountains. The late Buddy Hackett, he was joking that, he was fat a little bit, and he would go, his family wanted to go skiing. And they wanted to go skiing in Mount Snow, Vermont, or Snow, Vermont. And he said, Jew will not ski. I'm not just skiing down no mountain with these Nazi bastards. I want to go on these little mountains. I don't want one of these big Christian mountains. He was scared. So at the end, he went skiing. I guess they fit him in with the ski pants, and it's a very funny story. But I'm not Buddy Hackett. I can't be as funny as him. But let's get back to you, Mark. So you're living in Portland, Oregon, and you're there for 2 years. And you decided to publish a little book. It's called Senior Center. You want to show us the book? Let's see the book. Show it. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Updates from the Senior Center.
Updates from the Senior Center. So tell me, what is the basis of these stories? What are the stories inside this book? What is the book about?
My father moved into a senior center about 10 years ago, and in Colorado, and I started visiting him and just writing funny stories about him and about the senior center. And they're just little base. Each one's about 2 pages and 2 small pages, and they're vignettes about life in the senior center.
It can be very funny, but also very sad. My late mother, Abba Sholem, as they say, was in a senior home. She had Alzheimer's, and it wasn't a pretty sight. But let's leave that alone for now. What makes these stories so funny that you are in your book? Tell us. What makes it so funny? Tell us.
Well, well, the thing is, they're all based on my father. My father is every one of these stories has a jewel of truth to it, because they're all based on things that my father either did or was thinking about doing in the senior center. So he's 99 years old. So I started writing these when he was about 92 or 91. And he was an engineer his whole life. And he, as an example, he did several physics experiments right there in the lobby of the senior center. He made a gun out of a leaf blower. And it shot a tennis ball, and that was supposed to replicate a missile. And it was shooting a stuffed monkey to do a physics experiment, and it all worked really well. But I mean, this is like, my father's very eccentric, so he actually did this experiment, and then I made it into a story.
It sounded like your father was like the clown of the home of the senior center. He sounded like he was the funny guy making everybody.
Well, he still is.
Oh, he's still alive. He's still there.
Yeah, he's 99 and a half.
And a half. Boy, oh boy. So when will he be 100? Soon, no? 6 months.
Yeah, June 3rd.
Wow. So he's a Gemini like me. That's an incredible story. And he's still got his wits about him. He's still, he's still sharp, or not so much?
Yeah, I mean, he's sharp. He's sharp. He can still, read technical articles and write them if he wanted to. And he goes out every day. And yeah, he's sharp. I mean, he forgets things, but other than that, he's still sharp. You can have a conversation with him. Wow,
that's incredible. That's really something. Because at that age, depends. It depends on the person, obviously, and how genetically gifted they are. I think genetics. I have a saying, every human being in the planet has genetics, yes? And the genetics load the gun, and our choices in life pull the trigger. So in other words, it really depends, your lifespan and your health span is totally dependent on 2 things, your genetics and your choices in life. If you have great genetics and you make all the right choices and you don't smoke and you don't drink and you eat healthy food, you should live a long, healthy lifespan. On the other hand, if you have a poor genetics, but you still live a healthy life, then the genetics may catch up with you. You really need a combination of both very good genetics and life choices that will give you a healthy lifespan. If you have great genetics and make poor life choices, and you smoke cigarettes and you eat poorly and you drink a lot of alcohol and you have a lot of stress in your life, then it's going to catch up and it's going to cause problems, and it's probably going to cause medical problems. So it's amazing that your dad's still alive at that age. It's a blessing for you, for sure. So how relatable are these stories that are in your book?
Well, I think the reason people like them is that they're very relatable because almost everybody has a senior in their life, either their parents or their grandparents, or maybe it's the person themselves, So like I'm the youngest of the baby boom generation, but my brother's the beginning of the baby boom generation. So I think it's really a good book for baby boomers, but also younger people, let's say, I don't know. I have, friends, let's say, in their 20s and 30s, and they like the stories as well. So, you just have to have it. The stories are all, he doesn't live in a Jewish senior center, but all the stories have a kind of a Jewish, humor to them, kind of like a Seinfeldian humor to them. And, you have to laugh so you don't cry.
100%. I agree with you there. Tell us, where can people buy this book? If they wanted to buy this,
it's available in a lot of stores, but the easiest place is to get it from the publisher, and the publisher is called Microcosm.
Okay, what we'll do after
the internet.
We'll put a link below somewhere. Actually, can we type it? I think we can. No, maybe we can't. Banners, brand, private chat. Anyway, we'll put a link afterwards where people can buy it. It's also, I think it's on your advertisement, no? Where they can buy it, the book?
Yeah. If you just click on those advertisements, it'll take you right to the link.
Okay. And who are they funny for? Who these stories, who are they funny for? I guess they're funny for everybody, no? I mean, just about the whole general population.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any interaction with seniors, then you can relate to the stories in here.
They can be very funny, seniors. They really can, depending, of course. But I recall visiting my late mother at a Jewish senior home, and there was an elderly Jewish lady, and she was actually a music teacher. And I asked her if she could sing, and she sang a beautiful song for me. It was funny. It was really good, and she remembered most of the words, so I was impressed. Mark, tell us, what was your inspiration for creating this book and writing these stories? It was, I guess, well, I'll let you tell us. Tell us. What was the inspiration? Where did you get it from?
I used to go visit my dad. I still go visit him in the senior center, and there's not a lot to do there. So, and at the same time, I like to spend time with him. I don't want to go out. It's in Colorado, so it's beautiful. So I could go out every day and go hiking or whatever. I like to spend time there, and he wants me to be there. So, but it's a little bit boring. So I just started, noticing things around the senior center. As an example, like everything is really slow in the senior center. You try to get in the elevator, and the people take forever to get out. And so, I just started noticing things like that, and funny signs they have, and things that happened to him, and things that he did at the senior center. So I started noticing them, and then I started writing about them, and then I started posting them on Facebook, and everybody said they were funny. And so at first I was a little skeptical because people said I should publish them, and I thought, well, of course my friends are going to say they're funny, but enough said they were funny that I decided to get them published. So, and the publisher took them right away. It was like I've written a novel also, and that hasn't been published. But this was really easy to get published. The one and only guy I sent it to said he wanted it, and so he published it.
That's terrific. How often do you get down to meet your dad in Colorado?
Oh, I used to go maybe 2 or 3 times a year, but now I'm going more like 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay.
It's an easy trip. We go there for about 2 or 3 days.
Do you speak to him over the telephone? Do you have communication with him on the phone or no?
Yeah, well, when I talk to him on the phone, it's mostly me listening because he doesn't hear too well. So it's hard to have a two-way conversation. So mostly I listen. But actually, a bunch of the stories in there are about like trying to talk to him on the phone, or he doesn't really operate his cell phone very well. He doesn't know how to FaceTime. So there's a whole bunch of stories in this little book about like him and technology and getting confused.
Right. I'm sure it must be very challenging. At that age, like I said, it's almost a miracle that he's still alive. But as they say in Yiddish, bis 120. He should live until 120. But how many people actually live, that to that age? It's amazing that.
Well, that's
that
actually.
Say what?
Yeah. You asked me a minute ago how this is relatable. I think the technology part of this is relatable to everybody, because trying to help him with his cell phone and his computer, it's like a never-ending task. I mean, a simple thing like you say, okay, Dad, send me an email. Like, it doesn't matter what he's doing. He thinks he has to turn off the computer and start from scratch every time. And so, and he writes down notes on everything, like turn on, press the on button. Type in password. He really starts from scratch every time. And he has notes. He's got notes written all over his desk on how to do all these different tasks. But then he doesn't remember that he has notes. So it doesn't really help. But,
right.
This has been going on for 20 years. We've been trying to help him with his computer.
Okay. Maybe you can share one story from the book just to see how funny it really is. You have a story that in particular that's one of your favorites you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I'll read one. Let me choose one here. 1 second.
Yeah, let's hear.
I'll read you some of the titles first.
Okay.
Okay. So, like, one title is Troublemaker. Another one is called Brothers. On Trial. Pimping Out the Walker. I'll read that one.
Okay.
This one's called Pimping Out the Walker. Oh, Dad says, look who's here. I set my suitcase down next to his desk. His walker is over by his toolbox. Wow, Dad, you pimped out your walker. He's got accessories all over it. Who's a stalker? I'm just saying you decorated your walker since the last time I was here. In case the walker malfunctions, he's got his cane tied on tight with a bungee cord. This is actually true. He's got the bungee cord holding his cane onto his walker as a backup. It's not decoration, he says. Damn it. Everything's got a purpose. He squeezes the penguin horn, then points to a floor plan of the senior center that he has stuck to the wall with magnets. What do you need a horn for, I say? How about just saying, excuse me? The penguin horn is slow to reinflate. He only gets one honk at a time. The floor plan has arrows and notes all over it. Without that horn, Dad says, I'd be stuck in traffic all day with the other inmates. This is actually true. He calls the other people who live there, he calls them inmates. Yeah. What's with the flag on the walker? Everyone's going to think you're a Trump supporter. 2 years ago, before the pandemic, there wasn't a single flag in his office. Now it's packed with them. Maybe he won them as an early adapter of masks. Then he says, I'll make a bumper sticker that says "Seniors Against Trump." He writes it down. Dad, I say, that doesn't even rhyme. How about geezers against Trump? He says. He better not give up his day harassing the reception desk workers. Why did you cut up your World War II hat? He attached the label from the hat to the front of his walker, next to the penguin horn. Oh, people love that, he says. It opens all kinds of doors for me. What kind of doors? I ask. Doors, nincompoop. They hold it. So throughout the book, I have it. He's always calling me a nincompoop. They hold the door for me at the mess hall. He actually calls the cafeteria the mess hall. And at the guard station. And when they let us out on work furlough, the driver holds the door to the paddy wagon. He kicks my foot for emphasis. Sounds like you're all set. Where should I put my suitcase? Ask. His wife's name is Beth. Ask Beth. She's in tight with the warden. So there's all these references in the book about the inmate. There's all these references about the warden and the inmates.
Yeah, it sounds like he thinks he's in a prison.
Sorry?
It makes it sound like he's in a prison. Maybe he actually thinks that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
he says the way he describes it as I don't like it here, but I can't think of anywhere better. So
Well, where else is he
It's
going to
funny
go?
because the place he lived until he was 91 was in Ohio. He had his own farm with
Wow.
his own house and a runway for his airplane. He was a pilot until he was 90. So he was living on this
Wow.
gigantic property, and well, not gigantic, but it had a runway. And then he moved into a traditional senior center. But it's beautiful. He's got a view of the Rocky Mountains, and it's a very nice place. White tablecloths, the whole thing. But anyway, for him, he downgraded for sure from his point of view.
Yeah. Well, senior centers usually are downgrade from one's home, depending though. But what about your mom? Is she still around, or is she with your dad, or?
No, my mother passed away a long time ago, but my stepmother, my father's wife, is still alive, and they live together, and she's doing fine, and they both live in this place. It's quite nice.
Okay, so he's got a companion. That's good. He's not alone. And these stories, they're very factual. Then is that what you're telling us? They're very factual, are they not?
Well, so there's some things that are completely factual, like he calls the other people inmates, and then every story is either kind of, the truth ranges from, I'd say 20% to 90%, but what they say about fiction: don't let the facts get in the way of the truth. So,
right.
the truth is in the emotion.
Got it. How long has the book been out?
About 3 months.
Okay. And do you have any reviews on it or not yet?
Just reviews from people who have, not professional reviewers, but I have a lot of, I'm a writer, so I have a lot of friends that are writers, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback. One friend of mine, a writer, she's a novelist and a screenplay writer. She said she laughed all the way through and she cried. So I thought that was good.
Yeah. Do you have any written reviews? Maybe you can read us, or no?
No, I don't have anything handy, but I can post some on Facebook.
Okay, that'd be helpful, I think. What else? What's the weather forecast for you in the next few days?
Oh, well, in Oregon, it's always the same. It's either rainy and slightly warmer, or no rain and colder. That's basically what it is in the wintertime. You can go weeks here without seeing the sun.
Are you serious? And you're wearing it. This is an outside studio you're in. I find that a little funny in itself. How come you have an outside studio? Tell us about that.
No, you have to come outside to get to it. You have to go. You have to come outside to get to it. But the temperature in here is not on the thermostat, so it's a little bit uncertain what the temperature is going to be.
There's no heating in there.
There is, but sometimes it's too cold and sometimes it's too hot. It's never quite right. Right.
And what is the typical? Let's talk weather. I mean, weather is always, a topic of everybody. What's the typical temperature there in wintertime? What's the temperature there right now, for example?
I think the temperature now is probably about 40 or 45.
Well, that's not so bad. That's almost mild. Yeah. Here, where I am, just to give you an idea, I'll check my phone. I think it's we got it's 27 degrees Fahrenheit, but it feels like 18 degrees with the wind chill because there's a wind. We're all talking about wind chill here.
Yeah.
And we got a special weather statement, which means that snowstorm on its way on the first snowstorm of the year for my area. But, nothing like Buffalo or even like Northern California. I'm surprised you live in Oregon. You didn't hear about this crazy massive snowstorm that hit the mountains there in Northern California. The Appalachian Mountains. What do they call the Appalachian Mountains or the Rocky Mountains?
No, the Appalachians are in the southeast. No, it's the Sierras there. Sierras.
Oh, the Sierras. Okay. And can they also sometimes cause avalanches?
there's avalanches. Actually, it's funny you bring that up. I think I mentioned my father was an engineer, and he was the one who invented the very first avalanche rescue device.
Wow. So tell us more about your dad. He was a pilot, you say. I mean, was he a commercial pilot, or what kind of a pilot was he? A pilot. It's interesting. I like that pilot. Up to
No,
90 years old.
my father's had a very My father's had a very interesting life. He was born in Vienna, and he had to leave he left after Kristallnacht, after the Germans came into Austria. And he never finished high school, but then he moved to New York and eventually got his PhD in electrical engineering, but he never finished high school. And then he was an engineer for, 40 years. He was a private pilot for 50 years. He has 7 kids in the family, and we're not Orthodox at all.
Okay.
He fought in World War II, and because he came over to the States and he tried to volunteer for the U.S. Army, they wouldn't take him because he wasn't a citizen. And then he became a citizen, and they drafted him. They drafted him, and he went back to Italy and fought in World War II. He's very proud of that, and he talks about it a lot. And he still gives presentations on his experiences during the war. And he's a funny guy. He's eccentric, very very smart.
Yeah.
And
what kind of airplane did you fly?
Nowadays, he's much. He always had a little private plane, either a single engine or double engine, twin engine. I think at some point my mother made him get a twin engine because she didn't feel safe in a single engine. And we used to all go on vacation in it. All 9 of us would go on that little airplane.
Wow. So you have 7 siblings. You're one of 7 siblings, or one of 7, am I wrong? Wow, it's a big family. Your father did a lot of
I'm the youngest.
He did a lot of stooping in his early life.
Yeah,
he loved to stoop.
They had stooping in those days.
Yeah. Well, look, it's good to stoop. 7 kids it's a big family. It's a mitzvah to have such a big family. Why not? And this whole booklet is really centered around your dad, no? Pretty much all the stories are about him, or in that home. Are there other characters besides your dad in the book, or just all around your dad?
No, there's other characters, but they're all kind of like peripheral characters. Like, for example, and here's a true story. He got in trouble at the senior center because he goes swimming. No, he was taking water aerobics, and he is the oldest man in the senior center. And so, women live longer. So it's mostly women in the senior center. And he was taking water aerobics class, and he's the only man in the water aerobics class. And he got in trouble because he was splashing the women's hair. So that's a story. There's a story centered around. There's a story about that. He was splashing too much, and then a couple other stories related to that. And the women, the women in the book are always complaining about him and things like that. My father's not very well mannered, let's say.
Okay, so it sounds like he may not be the most popular in the place.
No, he's actually quite popular with the staff, but with the people in his older age group, they all find him a little bit odd. He is a little odd.
Yeah, with the other inmates.
That's why he's lived so long. He's kind of odd and stubborn.
But his
inmates don't get along with him. But he's.
But his wife is with him.
His wife likes him, and she's quite good to him. But I think the fact that he's odd and stubborn has given him a long lifespan because he's often in his own world. It's fine.
Yeah. Does he know? Does he realize and know how old he is?
Yeah.
He does?
It was actually on his, well, you're Canadian, and you'll appreciate this. On his 90th birthday, which was 9 years ago now, he was still flying at that time, and to celebrate his 90th birthday, he flew his little plane across the U.S.-Canadian border 90 times.
Wow, that's amazing. Did he ever...
So you can also find him on the...
You can find him where? Where can you find him?
You can find stories about his trip across the border on the internet. If you type in like pilot flies across U.S.-Canadian border, you'll find stories about him. He was in the newspaper on television news.
Especially that age, that's quite something. I think I recollect something about an elderly pilot. Maybe it was him who was still flying. Could it have been?
It probably was him.
That was still
Very
flying,
likely. Very likely.
And he still wanted to feel young, and he was. You know what? It rings a bell. It was in the news, or was it on? Could it have been on 60 Minutes, CBS, or something like that? Maybe, I don't know. But there was something. The story rings a bell. I think there was something on the media, on the television about this pilot who flew during the World War. Did he fly during World War II too? Airplanes? No, he didn't. Or did he? Maybe it's someone else.
No, he was in the Army. He was in the Army.
Because I think this fellow, well, I don't know, but it just rings a bell that there was a fellow who also, he flew and he said, like, you never forget how to fly. In the story, it's like everybody was amazed that at 90 years old, this person was still flying. And he says it's like riding a bicycle, you never forget, type of thing. So
it could have been him. I mean, because the story was probably in, I don't know, 10 different newspapers and 2 or 3 television nightly newscasts. So you might have seen it.
Yeah, I think I did. You know what? Let's try and research if we can find it. Would be nice to put it on the page. About your dad. Since there's books about him, if we can find the clip that was on the television, it would be nice to put it on the group. The people would like that. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I found it fast. Listen, when older people can still do things that only young people do, or younger people do, and they're still quite capable, I'm impressed. It definitely gives an impression on me. How old are you, Mark?
62.
Oh, you're young. You're young still. I'm a few years older. I'm 67. But do you stay in shape? Do you work out?
Yeah, all the time.
What do you do for exercise?
I do rock climbing and bike riding and kiteboarding.
Oh, kiteboarding.
And when I'm not doing those, I just.
What's kiteboarding?
Kiteboarding? Kiteboarding is like windsurfing, but instead of the sail being attached to the board, it's up in the air. It's like 25 yards up in the air, so it catches more wind. So
you're flying through the air. Is that what you're saying?
No, you're on the water. You're on the water, but the kite is up in the air.
Oh, the height is okay. Got it. And you do a lot of cycling, because I'm a cyclist too. What kind of bicycle do you use? What kind of bike do you ride?
Well, I used to be a racer, and I still have my racing bike, but I converted it now. It's more comfortable for an old guy. But yeah, so I still ride my racing bike, and I have I also have an electric mountain bike that I use when I go mountain biking.
Right. I think these mountain bikes are kind of cheating though, because you put the electrical assist on, and you don't really need to. Well, you can pedal, but you don't need to pedal as hard. To me, it defeats the whole purpose of the exercise. I ride what's called a recumbent street bicycle. I don't know if you've seen those.
Sure.
For me, what were you going to say?
No, that makes sense. I mean, the electric mountain bike, the nice thing about it is because it's electric, you end up, normally I would go out mountain biking for an hour or so, but with the electric bike, I'll stay out for 2 or 3 hours. So I probably end up getting just as much exercise, but I stay out, I get to do more, and I go up steeper things, and I see more terrain, so it's more fun.
Well, I guess so. It could be dangerous too, mountain biking, though, a little bit, depending on the terrain.
Yeah, you don't want to wipe out. I've wiped out many times. It always hurts.
Yeah, I know. I wiped out too this in September on gravel. My bicycle and the tires are not made for gravel, and this was a detour on the bicycle path, and I wasn't happy, and I took a little bit of a spill, and it hurt. But I love my recumbent bicycle. Have you ever driven a recumbent bicycle? Oh.
I think I've tried it once or twice. I've done a lot of bike touring. I used to do a lot of bike touring, and so I met people that had recumbents.
Yeah. I love it. You know, we got something between our legs. I call them the bait seam. And the bait seam on a regular bicycle seat, they get squashed and squished and suffocated. They can't be happy. They can't be comfortable. There I am on my recumbent bicycle in that beautiful, comfortable recumbent seat. And my bait seams are telling me, I'm so happy that you got this bicycle because it's cool, it's comfortable, it's wonderful. You can ride all day and you're not squishing or squashing. So I love my bicycle for that. So what else could we talk about?
I was going to say part of my motivation for staying in shape comes from my father, because he was running until, I don't know, he was about 70 or so, and he was skiing until 88, and flying was playing until 90, and he still exercises a little bit. So I'm trying to live to be, I think he's going to live to 104, and I'm hoping to live to 112. So, but you know, this book is, you know, kind of goes hand in hand with that. I think it's important to laugh, you know. So if you because there's so many problems when you get older, everything hurts and everything breaks. So you got to laugh a lot. And I think this book is kind of like, it gives you a good outlook.
Well, this is what our group is about. It's about laughter, about entertaining people. So it's a perfect book for our group members, because they love to laugh and they love good material. So you got some funny stories in there, and my members should buy it. So buy the book, buy this guy's book. He took the time to write it, and the trouble, and he told us a funny story, and it sounds like his father's a fascinating man, and these stories sound pretty funny. So all the people there in the group that are listening, and I'll put the broadcast out to the group. And not only will I do that, but you know what else I'll do for you? I will record it and upload it to YouTube and send you the link so you can use this interview wherever you like. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
All right. So is there anything else that we need to talk about, or should we wrap it up?
I think we can wrap it up. I'll just say one more time. It's the publisher is called Microcosm Publishing.
Okay, we'll put a link.
They publish a lot of. I'll put a link to it on Facebook. Yeah. Okay,
and if we can find the clip with your father on the television, because I do recollect some man who was a 90-year-old, and he was flying an airplane, and it was quite something. I don't know if it was your father, but if you can find it, it would be awesome to put out on the group too, because I like that kind of thing. It gives me inspiration.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so Mark,
I'll find it and put it up there.
Wonderful to introduce you to my group members, and group members out there, listen, this guy's a good guy. He's got good stories to tell in this book, and you should buy his book already. We'll put it out there, and let's hope for the best. And Mark, thank you so much for sharing your stories and your book and stories about yourself and your father. We wish you only the best, and well, you should live to 120. Your father should live to 120. And be well and be happy, and it's not Hanukkah yet, but I'll wish you anyway a happy early Hanukkah. It's coming up this Sunday, the 18th, and so you know, us Jews, we don't wish Merry Christmas, but we say Happy Hanukkah. I said Hanukkah or Chanukah, any way you like it, it's all good. Anyways, Mark, it's been a slice and a pleasure, all mine, and we'll put this out to the group, and we'll record it. We'll send you the link, and we'll call it a night. And Mazel Tov on your book, and only success, continued success. and everything you do.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. We'll keep in touch.
You're so welcome. All right, we will. Take care.